All right, let's take you back to one of our top stories we're watching for you this hour, and that's the Liberation Movement Summit, which has officially kicked off in Kempton Park. It has brought together ANC from South Africa, ZANU-PF from Zimbabwe, CCM from Tanzania, FRELIMO from Mozambique, MPLA from Angola, as well as many others. SABC News reporter Khayelihle Khumalo is at the Liberation Movement Summit and joins us now live for an update. So Khayelihle, we saw President Cyril Ramaphosa has just arrived moments ago and is expected to address this all-important summit. Take us through some of the conversations we should expect to come out of it.
Well, absolutely. In fact, a short while ago, we saw also FRELIMO's leader and also the current Mozambican President, Daniel Chapo, has arrived here. So it's a very important time for these liberation movements. It's all about ensuring that they deal with a number of challenges that they face in their respective countries. This is a very harsh geopolitical environment, and it's very critical for them to reset, but also to reconnect with their people. But joining us now to reflect as well is SABC's international editor, Sophie Mukwena. Sophie, looking at the history of these parties, they gave their countries freedom politically, now economically. I suppose that's a stubborn challenge that they face.
Well, earlier on, I spoke to the ANC Treasurer General, Dr. Gwen Ramokgopa, about this issue because, as you can see on social media, the response is huge in terms of people in the region, but also on the continent, to say, yes, you liberated us, but some of you veered off the road in terms of doing the right things. And this is a moment to reflect and to be robust in terms of where they went wrong as liberation organizations. And many also are saying, yes, the political freedom, but what about the economic freedom? As you can see on the continent, you have poverty, you have unemployment, and in South Africa, including issues of service delivery. And therefore, you need resources. To have these resources, you have to work hard. But also, when you have these resources, it shouldn't be about your families, your friends, but about the people. And therefore, the good thing is that the citizens of the region, of the SADC region, people from these different countries are talking. They are following what's happening here. And they are saying the time has come that you become robust and honest in terms of the mistakes that you committed. And also, we are still poor, and we also want to benefit. Therefore, this is a huge challenge for the leaders here, not just to engage in a process of nostalgia, we liberated you politically. Be brutal and honest about the current situation in the region. And I think this will be a big challenge. The president of the ANC, in his address, it will be interesting to hear whether he will be able to touch on these thorny issues, because it is not going to help if they just go back and, look at history, how we fought in the struggle, what we did to liberate our countries. But now, what are you doing to change the lives of ordinary people in the region? But I think the former president of Mozambique, Joaquim Chissano, did indicate that this is what they have to do. We know that he will be here, and he will also be joined by the former ANC president, Thabo Mbeki. So these elders, perhaps behind the scenes, they can probe the leaders to say, be frank about the current challenges facing the region and your parties.
And obviously, Sophie, it's also a very opportune time. Global issues. I mean, I would imagine the rise of unilateralism, the tariff politics that has become so dominant. So these economies as well are not immune to these. They're really affected directly. And we know that the 1st of August is approaching. It's going to be an acid test. So let's reflect on those key geopolitical issues.
Well, when you talk about the tariffs on the 1st of August, where the U.S. has indicated that it will implement the tariffs to many countries. And let's be clear, it's not about South Africa. It's about America saying we want to build our manufacturing capacity, and therefore we will impose tariffs so that people can be encouraged to manufacture goods in our own country. And therefore this is a moment also to look at that, because that will affect AGOA. You know, AGOA was there, and many countries, particularly in the region, were benefiting. A country like Botswana, a country like Lesotho, including Ivory Coast. When you look at the automotive industry, these cars that are being assembled here in South Africa, some of the seats and some of the parts come from different countries. Then you get a full component or the full product that is being exported to other regions. Now, they are going to be affected, and therefore it's not about South Africa. It's about South Africa being an economic anchor in the region. If it gets affected, neighboring countries are going to be affected. And many people in the neighboring countries, including some, as I pointed out, as far as Ivory Coast, where we get the seats for the BMWs and the Mercedes-Benz, they are going to be affected. And therefore they will have to reflect, perhaps look at the African Continental Free Trade Area to say, as Africans, how do we do business amongst ourselves? How do we trade amongst ourselves? And also to look for alternative markets. The European Union has indicated that they stand ready to do that. And I think during the G20, now that even the African Union is part of the G20, these are the issues that can be taken to such multilateral conferences and summits and forums to say, how do we look for alternative markets? So there are many issues that they will have to grapple with. It's not about nostalgia, it's about now, the challenges the region is facing and their respective countries are facing, including their own liberation movements, because they have to renew, they have to reposition themselves. Last night, I was at the birthday of the General Bantu Holomisa. He said something very profound to say that this generation, they have accomplished the mission that they were supposed to accomplish. Now the young generation must take over, making an example that how do you ensure that Julius Malema, Floyd Shivambu, or Kwarube, Kodlimpi, mentioning all these young leaders who are in parliament, how can they work together to build a better South Africa, a better region and a better continent? And therefore, they must take that into consideration, that you have a young generation coming, and how do you hand over to them? Do you hand over the economies that have collapsed? That's a critical question.
Well, certainly, Sophie. But another very key element here will have to be around women empowerment. A short while ago, we saw the arrival of the current Namibian president, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah. You had an opportunity to engage with her. So one of the issues she touched upon was really just about these challenges, whether we're looking at what the parties can do in terms of resetting, recalibrating, just making sure that we see change and the difference on the ground, especially for the ordinary people.
Well, that's a critical issue. Recall she spoke about how do you use the minerals of respective countries, to ensure that you get better value in terms of beneficiation. And it's quite important because she is here. She can share her thoughts. And remember, she's a veteran politician, a veteran diplomat, and also a civil servant. You know that she has been in government for quite a long time, and therefore she does understand these issues better. And also her being the only woman who is a leader of a liberation organization here. But we know that you also have Suluhu Hassan of Tanzania. Unfortunately, she didn't come because of elections. And I think these are issues that they have to reflect on, including about women and children.
All right, Sophie, thank you so much for that insight. So, Mxolisi, by all means, it's bound to be a very interesting day here in Kempton Park as the leaders of the liberation movements are sitting down and getting down to the breadsticks and really just reflecting on all these essential issues, from the economic empowerment to the issues of tackling corruption, a very big issue, a very dominant issue. But also it's been really interesting as well, gauging the responses from social media. You know, a lot of people do have very quite extreme views about these parties, about their performances, but also saying issues about liberation credentials are very important. But now people are yearning for change on the ground, really just that all-important difference. So we'll certainly keep you posted during the course of the day. We're going to hear from the leaders. They will address the plenary sessions. And as you know, that's also, we've seen the leagues from these parties. They also had their respective report. Another very important issue is about reconnecting with the electorate as well. So with that, Khayelihle, back to you in studio.
Certainly will be very interesting, Khaya, to see, you know, just how the summit also gives expression to some of those talking points that you just raised now. Thanks very much indeed for that update. That's Khayelihle Khumalo working that story for us.